Same old fucking shit. Fuck this fucking bullshit. We're going to be doing something different this weekend because of the fact that not only are we doing the Dover doubleheader this weekend, but we also got the Indianapolis 500. So I'm actually going to be recording the first part of the doubleheader here today as soon as it's just ended. And then do the other one tomorrow and then combine the two. So let's get into it. This is the fuel. What's happening, ladies and germs? This is the Packer Man, and welcome to today's edition of the Fuel. Of course, when I review the second half of the Dover race, I'm probably going to look different, but I'm going ahead and recording the review for the first race right now, and it just ended like a few minutes ago. The Drydene Doubleheader at Dover, and my first thought is, fuck this shit, same old fucking shit. Fuck it, I'm sick and tired of this fucking season of NASCAR. It's garbage. I mean, we get the same fucking winners seemingly every single goddamn week. If it's not Denny Hamlin, it's Kevin Harvick and vice versa. It's been like that for pretty much since we came back from the fucking COVID break. It's just been Harvick, Hamlin, Harvick, Hamlin, Harvick, Hamlin. I am sick to fucking death of it. And that's without even getting into the fact that this race was fucking trash. I mean, yeah, there were only 2 cautions the entire race, but nothing literally fucking happened, you know, until the end of this goddamn race. I mean, yeah, fewer cautions means the race went by quicker, which I'm appreciative of. And yeah, we did have a battle for the win, but it ended with an outcome that I didn't really want to fucking see. Same old shit. I mean, it's no wonder why my mother says that she doesn't really watch it anymore. It's because it's the same old fucking shit. Same winners every single fucking week, it seems like. And it's a lot of the people that she doesn't really like. So I don't really blame her in that regard. Dover just fucking sucks to begin with. So, you know, this is one of those tracks that I'll be glad I was only going to have one race next year. Personally, I would like to see both of them gone. Fuck Dover. It's fucking trash. The racetrack is fucking garbage. There's hardly ever been any good races there. I mean, I can't remember the last time we had a good fucking race at Dover. I mean, yeah, one of their dates is going to Nashville, which, you know, they own. The people who own Dover own that track too, but at least it's something fucking different for a change than this stupid shit. And of course we gotta do this all over again tomorrow too, after the Indianapolis 500. Just fucking trash. Trash, 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 trash. But let's go ahead and get into this review. This review probably won't take all that long since I didn't really have a whole lot of notes taken down because, like I said, nothing fucking happened. So let's get into it. Alright, so let's get into it. Race number 1 of the Drydene Doubleheader at Dover. Stage 1 was 70 laps, Stage 2 115 laps, Stage 3 126 laps. So let's breeze right through this. Chase Elliott started from the pole, led lap 1 after a pretty good start. We had our first caution on lap 7. Eric Jones just barely nudges Kurt Busch, who actually came out of the throttle a little bit off of turn 2, which caused the 20 to get into him, causing the 1 to spin into the inside wall, and that pretty much ended his day. At the same time, Alex Bowman ass-packs Jones as the 20 checks up. So there was a lot of left rear damage to the 20, and there was some right front damage to the 88. So Elliott leads on the restart, and he was getting great restarts on these first 2. Harvick got by Truex for 5th, and then Logano for 4th. Second caution came out on lap 26, and which was the competition caution, and that is it for the caution flags, believe it or not. So everyone comes in for service. Logano takes just 2 tires and wins the race off pit road, but Austin Dillon stayed out, and leads on the restart. Of course, this is his first race back. Fucking fly. Since he contracted COVID-19, but he had consecutive negative tests in a 24-hour period, so that's why he was allowed to return. And even though he did miss a race, he does have a medical waiver, so he will still be able to compete in the playoff because he does have that win at Texas. So we have a hornet's nest in the mid-pack, and also at this point, Harvick had to come back in to tighten the lug nuts, and he had to restart at the rear. So we have a hornet's nest in the mid-pack. Elliott and Bowyer make contact, causing a tire rub on the 9 car. That pretty much put him behind for the rest of the day. Battle for second between Kenseth, Logano, and Hamlin, with Hamlin winning that battle. Kez moves up to third. Hamlin starts closing in on Dillon for the race lead. Don't forget he stayed out. Great battle for fourth between Logano, Bowyer, and Truex. Then we had our first pure lead change on lap 59 when Denny Hamlin gets by Austin Dillon. Harvick gets Kenseth, Buescher, and Johnson in one corner. Basically got 3 cars in one corner. I will admit that was pretty impressive. Bowyer gets by Logano for 4th, and Truex gets by the 22 for 5th, and Denny Hamlin wins stage 1. Okay. Everyone comes in for service, and Hamlin wins the race off pit road. Then we get to stage 2, which was 115 laps, and oh my god, was this a boring fucking stage. Good fucking grief, man. There's not a whole lot to talk about here. Hamlin went to start stage 2. Johnson got by Dillon for 5th, and that was pretty much it for quite a while. I mean, I was getting ready to do one of these. And it looked like Quinn Houff nearly spun out getting on the pit road, but he actually locked it up. So at least this time he was down on the low side of the track and not in the middle of the turn like he was at Texas. So at least he's improved on that one. Harvick kicks off green flag pit stops on lap 135. Hamlin pits from the lead on lap 138 and then retakes the lead on lap 162 when everything cycles back around. Kyle Busch gets by Harvick for 5th and Kez for 4th using the high line, which is pretty impressive. And Hamlin wins stage 2. Yep, that's pretty much everything of note in stage 2. So everyone comes in for service, and Truex wins the race off pit road this time. So we get to stage 3, which was 126 laps. Truex, of course, leads the start. Hamlin is pushed back to 4th on the restart because he came off 2nd but went to the high side at the choose rule. And Kyle Busch decided to choose the inside lane and managed to get 2nd. Keselowski then managed to get by Hamlin on the restarts, move up to 3rd. So Hamlin was back to 4th at this point. But Kez was dirt tracking through turns 1 and 2 midway through this final stage. Somehow held on and held off Hamlin's many challenges, although eventually Hamlin did get around the 2 for 3rd. So you have a JGR 1-2-3 at lap 225. So Bowyer gets by Keselowski for 4th, and then Hamlin gets by Kyle Busch for 2nd. Harvick once again the first to kick off green flag stops on lap 253. Truex cycles back to the lead. And there were lap cars aplenty in this race. I think there was only like a dozen cars on the lead lap at the end of this race, and a lot of cars finished more than 1 lap down. But of course, that's what happens when you have long green flag runs in Dover and not a whole lot of opportunities to adjust on cars. And of course, not having practice certainly didn't help either. So Hamlin starts closing the gap on Truex, who is getting progressively looser, which was actually a bit of a surprise considering how much rubber was laid down on the track, which would actually tighten the cars up. So he must have been really, really loose. And Hamlin manages to snag the lead on lap 303 for a second pure lead change of the day. After a battle with Truex, Truex tries to get back to Hamlin, but to no avail. And Denny Hamlin wins race number 1 of the Drydene Doubleheader for his 6th win of 2020, tying in with Harvick, who also has 6 wins, and the 43rd win of his career. Same old fucking shit. You know, I thought we were finally going to get it, you know, Truex getting his 2nd win of the year. Of course, last week we had Elliott get his 2nd of the year. And I thought, you know, Truex would be able to, you know, get his second of the year at one of his home tracks. But of course, you know, we have to go back to the same old shit. Because of course we do. And it's probably going to be either Hamlin or Harvick winning tomorrow. Because, you know, that's the thing. I mean, it's either been Hamlin or Harvick during these double headers. I mean, just think back to the Pocono doubleheader when I think it was Hamlin who won the first one and then Harvick the second one, or vice versa. You know, and then at the Michigan doubleheader, you had Harvick winning both of them. And now, you know, we have the first half of this doubleheader, and who's the winner? Denny Hamlin. Fuck these doubleheaders, man. They're fucking trash. They have been fucking trash. And of course, when you have them at tracks that fucking suck ass, you know, it just makes it doubly worse. Fuck this shit. So, the lead change counter was actually kind of high, which was kind of surprising. We had 15 overall lead changes in this race, but there is a big but to this. Pretty much a large majority of those were on the exchange of green flag pit stops. There was very, very few passes for the lead, legitimately. How many legit passes for the lead did we have? 2. 2 pure lead changes this entire fucking race. So out of the 15 overall lead changes that we had, only 2 we can consider legitimate out of a 311 lap race. But then again, is it really a surprise? But that'll do it for the review of race number 1. Of course, for me, I get to take a little bit of a break. But for the rest of y'all, let's head into race number 2. Yay. Alright, here we go with race number 2 of the Drydene Doubleheader. I'm going to save talking about the Indianapolis 500, and I'm going to save talking about the Indianapolis 500 for next week's episode, because quite frankly I just don't feel like talking about it. Not because it wasn't a good race or anything, it's just, you know, having to talk about this piece of shit race that Eric Eastep for some fucking reason gave a 60%, which I don't know what the fucking reasoning is. I mean, that's what pisses me off sometimes. It's like, what the fuck is in this race that warrants giving it a 60%? Huh? This was nothing but a fucking single file parade, high speed parade. Like, what the actual fuck? And don't give me this, well, the battle for the 16th spot in the playoff, who gives a shit? I mean, why do we have to continue having this conversation about the 16th spot in the fucking playoff when at the end of the day it's not going to mean shit? I mean, we've had this conversation time and time again. I don't put any fucking stock in 11th through 16th in the point standings. They're not winning a fucking championship, so why the fuck are you acting like they have a shot? I'm sick to fucking death of that shit. Enough with it already. And of course, it doesn't help that both Dover races were fucking trash! But anyway, let's just get through this fucking piece of shit race. So, Matt Benedetto starts from the pole due to the field invert. Leads lap 1. Blaney gets by Buescher for 5th and Dillon for 4th. First caution comes out on lap 6 when Ricky Stenhouse gets spun by Logano off turn 4 and into the inside wall. At the same time this came out, Elliott runs into the back of Kyle Busch trying to avoid the accident, which ends Elliott's day. I think might have busted a radiator. Also, the 51 of Joey Gase spun and backed it into the wall, and the 7 of Garrett Smithy also spun out in reaction to that. So, kind of a weird first caution. So, Matty D leads on the restart. Almirola gets a better start and takes the lead. Blaney gets by Matty D for 2nd. Hamlin already into the top 10, 25 laps into the race. We get our second caution on lap 33 for debris. Blaney stays out and inherits the lead while many cars come in for service. Blaney leads on the restart. We have a battle for third between Matty D and Keselowski. Kevin Harvick moves up to third and then gets by Byron for second. And then he gets by Blaney for the race lead with 2 laps to go in the stage for a first pure lead change. And Kevin Harvick wins stage number 1. Same old shit. So most of the field comes in for service and Harvick wins the race off pit road. They had to throw a red flag to repair some track damage over in turn 4. Some patches were coming up, so they had to put some quickcrete in. But we get back going again. Harvick leads on the restart. The start of stage 2, JJ Lee with engine problems but makes it back to pit road. We have our third caution on lap 100 when Corey LaJoie spins in turns 1 and 2. Everyone comes in for service. Logano wins the race off pit road. He leads on the restart and he leads for a few laps, but Harvick gets back by on lap 115 for our second pure lead change of the day. And that's pretty much it for the pure lead changes. Yep. We had 4 wide in the middle turns 1 and 2, which was kind of crazy. Then Harvick has a 5 1/4 second lead on lap 157. Yawn. Battle for third between Blaney and Hamlin and Truex, with Hamlin and Truex getting by Blaney for the 3rd and 4th positions. And Harvick wins stage number 2 by 8 seconds. And that was stage 2. Second verse, same as the first. Nothing of note in any of these fucking stages. Trash, trash, trash. So everyone comes in for service and Harvick wins the race off pit road. Go figure. So we get to the start of stage 3, which was 126 laps, and hey, look at that! Harvick and Hamlin on the front row yet again. Same old shit. And you wonder why people have basically the viewership, started out great, when they came back from the pandemic, but recently the viewership has taken a bit of a tumble. And a lot of that is due mainly to the boring ass fucking racing, but also a lot of people I think are getting a little sick and tired of seeing Harvick and Hamlin at the front in every single fucking week. And here we are yet again. So Harvick leads the start of stage 3. Then we have our 4th caution on lap 216 when Quinn House spins on turn 2. Somehow keeps it out of the wall. Everyone comes in for service. Harvick wins the race off pit road. So he leads on the restart. Then Hamlin has to come in to pit a possible loose wheel, which I think they said it was. So he ended up 1 lap down. And nothing basically fucking happened for a large majority of this stage. It was just like a high-speed parade. And there was one person on Twitter that, said that, yeah, this was probably the worst race of the year. Probably. And then there was one person that replied to him and was like, oh, your opinion is wrong, lol. This was a good race all day. What the fuck race are you watching, you dumb fuck? All I was seeing all day was a fucking high-speed parade with no passing whatsoever. I don't know, maybe we just have different fucking standards, or maybe we were watching a completely different fucking race. I don't know. But maybe you need to get your fucking head out of your ass and have some fucking perspective. Fucking stupid. So Blaney looses a goose at the moment. Harvick with a 5.5 second lead with 40 laps to go. And then we have our final caution on lap 288. Corey LaJoie hits the wall in turns 1 and 2. Everyone comes in for service. Johnson takes just 2 tires and wins the race off pit road. So everybody's like, oh my god, Johnson has a chance to win. Nope, not with Harvick on 4 fucking tires. And it only takes him a lap to get back to the lead. I mean, he got the lead off turn 4. And that was basically all she wrote. Truex got by Johnson for second. I will give Johnson credit on those 2 tires. I mean, he basically held the rest of the field at bay, particularly his teammates Byron and Bowman for the 3rd position. So I will give him major props for that. But other than that, Kevin Harvick just basically drove away from the field. And while the first race might have had an exciting finish to make up for some of the boring ass shit that we saw, This race was just no. This race was putrid fucking dog shit. So Kevin Harvick wins race 2 of the doubleheader. You know, once again, you know, we had 3 of the back-to-back doubleheaders, and they were won by either Hamlin or Harvick. Fuck this weekend. Fuck this track. Fuck both races. Fuck everything. Bunch of fucking shit. Just, ugh. Alright, give me 1 second. I need to look up something here real quick. Wow, this truly was second versus same as the first. Wow, Lord have mercy. We had 15 overall lead changes in this race. Basically the same as the first race, but much like the first race, a lot of that was due to the green flag pit stops. Because we only had, much like the first race, 2 pure lead changes the entire race. But in my opinion, race number 2 was much worse than race 1 because there wasn't really a whole lot to talk about in race 2, and it didn't have the exciting finish that the first one did. So, yeah, just fucked over. Fuck this weekend. Both races were fucking trash. Alright, so before we get to the results and point standings, let's give a star of, well, it's usually the star of the race, but of course this is a doubleheader, so we'll give star of the week and reject of the week. Star of the week. I am going to give it to Jimmie Johnson because he managed to cut the deficit to his teammate William Byron. I think it was like 25 points coming into Dover or something like that. It was something crazy like that. But he cuts it down to just 4 points behind William Byron and just 9 points behind Matt DiBenedetto to get into the playoff, with Daytona looming this coming Saturday. So great job by Jimmie Johnson. I mean, he's trying his damnedest, even going to the point of using just 2 tires to try to get the win, and ended up third, and you know, still finished ahead of William Byron in the race. So keeping his playoff hopes alive for whatever it's worth, but he's doing his best. Reject of the weekend, Dover. This track fucking sucks a dick. I can't stand this fucking piece of shit track. I'm glad we're only going here 1 time next year, and honestly, they just need to ship the other date off to somewhere else. A short track maybe, that's actually worth a fuck. This track is fucking garbage, period. And that's all I got to say about that. So, race results. So let's look at race 1 of the Drydene Doubleheader. As soon as it pops up on my computer screen, because my computer loves to take its sweet time when I'm recording. So, here are the standings for race number 1. Denny Hamlin, of course, ended up with the win after a late pass of Martin Truex. He led 115 of the race's 311 laps. Basically got the perfect 60. Kyle Busch ended up in 3rd. Harvick in 4th. And you have Chase Elliott in the top 5. Then you have Clint Bowyer, Jimmie Johnson, Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. getting a top 10 finish. Results for race 2. And that's not what I wanted. There we go. Results for race 2. Kevin Harvick also with the perfect 60, but in his case, he led 223 of the race's 311 laps. And you honestly want to fucking tell me that this was a good race? Get the fuck out of here. Truex finishes 2nd once again, so that's 7 consecutive top 3 finishes. So even though he just has the 1 win, this 19 team is good right now. Johnson, of course, with the 3rd place finish. William Byron in 4th. Alex Bowman 5th. So pretty good day overall for Hendrick Motorsports, and a good weekend overall, to be honest. Then you have Logano in 6th, Eric Almirola, Brad Keselowski, Austin Dillon, and Cole Custer rounding out the top 10. So, with one race to go before the playoffs begin, we take a look at the overall point standings, and by virtue of his first stage win in race number 2, Harvick has basically clinched the regular season title, so he's going to get those 15 bonus playoff points to start the playoff, and of course those go through all the way to the end of the year. Oh, and guess who's now up to second in the points? Denny Hamlin. Is it really any surprise at this point? And Harvick has led 1,111 laps this year. Lord have mercy. So Brad Keselowski is second, Brad Keselowski's third, Martin Truex Jr. is fourth. I honestly think that's the 4 that's going to make it to the championship 4. But realistically, it's between Harvick and Hamlin. I don't see anybody else competing. Then you have Logano and Ryan Blaney and Chase Elliott, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Eric Almirola is still the first of those who have not won. He is 8th in the points. He has locked himself into the playoff based on points, as has Kyle Busch and Kurt Busch. So the top 10 in the points have locked themselves in to the playoff based on points. Clint Bowyer, he's not quite locked in yet, but he's pretty damn close. He's plus 57, so, I mean, if he scores, I think, like 3 points, or if he's plus 50 after stage 1, he'll be good. So I would imagine he'll be locked in before the end of the Daytona race. Alex Bowman in 12th, he's locked in based on his win at California. Matt DiBenedetto, who is certainly not safe anymore, he's only plus 9 now. And then you have William Byron at plus 4. He would be the last one to get in. Then you have Johnson just 4 behind. And then from there on back, it's Eric Jones, who needs a win. Tyler Reddick, who needs a win. Austin Dillon and Cole Custer, they're 18th and 19th in points, but they're in the playoff by virtue of their wins. And then Christopher Bell, he's 176 points out. He needs a win to get into the playoff. So as for my final rating for the Drydene Doubleheader, first I'll give my final rating for the first race. I mean, it was boring as fuck. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot that went on, but I mean, it did have that. I mean, the first stage was alright, I guess. And then you had that finish at the end, which even though it didn't have the outcome I wanted, I mean, it was still a good battle for the win. So, for the first race, I'll give it a 3.25 out of 10. So, the finish elevated it a little bit. The second race, on the other hand, was an absolute fucking dumpster fire. And it made me never want to fucking watch it over again. Which also reminds me, let's never do a fucking doubleheader again. Because all 3 of the back-to-back doubleheaders this year were fucking garbage. Let's never do it again. And this race was complete and total fucking trash. My final rating for race number 2 of the Drydene Doubleheader, 1 out of 10. Seriously, this race was fucking trash. I mean, there was nothing redeemable about it, in my opinion. It was a high-speed parade. Harvick basically led a large majority of the race. As usual, a large majority of the lead changes were due to green flag pit stops or getting the lead on the restart, which doesn't count as a pure lead change. But a lot of the race, Harvick was just out there just riding around with a fucking 5-second lead. And even at the end of the race, he managed to pull out to like a 3-second lead in like 15 laps and just cruised to the win. I mean, what's so fucking interesting about that? Absolutely nothing. So, I am glad that Dover is only going to have one race next year. That's one less race where I'll have a fucking headache at the end of the race. Anyways, I'm done ranting for today. Hopefully Daytona will pull us out of this funk. But thank you very much for watching. And until next time, this is the Packer Man signing out. See you later. You better like and subscribe or face the consequences. You have been warned.